We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Inshallah, we're here for another episode, live episode here on Wednesday night on Imam Hussein TV, and inshallah we'll be receiving all of your questions. If you have a question that you'd like to discuss, or a question that you'd like that we want answered, please send it in via the WhatsApp, send it in via the email address ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv, or alternatively give us a call on 0203 515 0199, and inshallah, the Sheikh will have your answers for you. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ar. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening, Sheikhna? Sheikhna, when it comes to traveling, we know that there is a Qasr Salat to pray. When you go past a certain limit, normally it's 13 miles in one direction. If an individual decides that, you know what, I'm not going to pray the Qasr prayer, I'm not going to pray 2 rakat instead of 4. I have time, I have energy, I'm going to perform the full salah. Is this salah acceptable, or does this render it void?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. Well, it is permissible for the individual to pray his salah in full in some places, exceptionally. So the first place, when he is in Mecca and in the Masjid al-Haram, he has the option of praying in full or Qasr, in short. Second place is the holy city of Medina and the Mosque of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Again, he's got the choice of praying in full or in Qasr. Being as Musafir, let's say being 5 days in Mecca and 3 days in Medina, still he has the choice, and she has the choice to pray in full in those two holy mosques. Also, the one has the choice to pray in Masjid al-Kufa, in the city of Kufa. Again, you have the option of praying in full or the short Qasr. While being as a Musafir, let's say 1 day in the holy city of Kufa. And the last one is the holy city of Karbala, when you are in the vicinity of the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, just a few meters from the grave. You have the option of praying in full or in Qasr. Other than that, other than the Salat al-Ma'siyah, as we said, praying while you're traveling to commit a sin, such as gambling and so forth. Other than these exceptions, if somebody prays in full while he's a traveler, he's a Musafir, his salah will be void and batil.
I see, excellent. Shaykh, on the topic of salah, when we have jama'ah, where should the imam of the jama'ah, where should he stand?
It is mustahab for the imam to stand in the midpoint, in front of the jama'ah, in the midpoint, and the first row should be, well, it's better to have the ulama, the scholars, the pious believers to be on the first row, then the rest of the people.
Okay. But I guess it depends on the shape of the room. Sometimes it's on the left side, the imam will stand on the right and so forth. But it's better to be in the middle of, just in front of the front row. Yeah. Sheikh, now when it comes to an Islamic government, normally we have what they call Bayt al-Mal, or the Treasury. Now, what are the sources of this Treasury? I mean, where do they collect the money for this Treasury?
Well, the main source of finance for an Islamic government, which was implemented in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, is the Khumus, Zakat, Kharaj and Jizya. Of course, each of them You need to go back to the books of the fuqaha and the jurists to find out what they exactly mean, the ahkam related to these sources of finance, and taken from who, which type of people, Muslims, non-Muslims, and so forth, and where, and so forth. Of course, with regard to these, let's say, Islamic taxes, in other words, they are taken from the rich and given to the poor. The hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, he states, I have been ordered to take from the rich among you and give it to the poor among you. That's how the Prophet ﷺ implemented these financial sources by giving it to those who are in need of it. In Medina, when he was there in Medina, and even Imam Ali alayhi salam in Kufa, when he took the apparent Khilafah and the holy city of Kufa, in Masjid al-Kufa, he used to give all the Baytul Mal to the people, and nothing would remain, and he would basically sweep the Baytul Mal at the end of the day. So Baytul Mal is for the people, is the people's money. It's not to be stored away in banks, billions and billions for whatever purpose. You have to give it to the people and to run the country.
I see, mashallah. Inshallah we'll get to experience that someday. Shaykhna, when it comes to performing sujood, now in the Jafri school of thought, in Shia fiqh, we are allowed to prostrate on many different materials. What is the best of materials though to perform sujood on?
Well, initially you have the soil, you have the sand, you have the pebbles, you have the stones, and so forth. Then you go towards the green grass, for example, the leaves which cannot be eaten, wood, and so forth. Of course, the best form of sujood to prostrate on is the soil of Karbala, the sand of Karbala, the best available, even to do the tasbih of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam after the salah. With this regard, there are two hadiths I would like to mention from Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam. He said, السجود على طين قبر الحسين عليه السلام ينور إلى الأرض السابعة. Praying or prostrating on the clay of the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, using that clay, that soil, and do sujood on it, would illuminate 7 earths or 7 grounds. We don't know what is the earth or the lower grounds of the that's mentioned in the hadith. What are they exactly? Are they the layers of the earth? We don't know. So it would illuminate the earth, imagine, by that sujood on this holy sand of Karbala. Another hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, again he states, في طين قبر الحسين عليه السلام شفاء من كل داء. The clay or the soil of the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam offers cure to the illnesses, to the ailments. وهو الدواء الأكبر, and it is the great medicine. It is the greatest medicine. This clay of Karbala, the sand of Karbala. So we can use it to treat our those who are patients and ill, and also to pray on it. And of course the barakat of this sand, holy sand, in which the pure blood of Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi and his family, which were shed and became one of the best lands that Allah have ever created on earth.
Ahsan, Shaykhna. Shaykhna, my next question has come in via the WhatsApp, and it's in regards to Assalamu alaikum, great show as always. Here we go. So when it comes to a telephone conversation and someone says salam to me, is it wajib upon me to respond to this salam on the telephone?
Yes, of course, it becomes obligatory and wajib to reply the salam. As we said, even in the salah, while you're in the worship, in ibadah, you're talking to Allah Azza wa Jal, If somebody walks inside the room and he says Salamun Alaikum, in the Salah you have to reply back.
Oh, so you pause.
And then continue your Salah.
You pause, send a reply. And then
Exactly.
continue.
So
Wow.
reply is wajib for the Salam. But if the Salam was said through the TV, let's say the presenter or radio, you don't have to say so Walaikum Salam and reply back. So mainly the live Salam, which are through the face-to-face or the phone or the video calls and so forth. Live Salam should be responded.
Ahsant. Shaykhna, what's the expiations of pregnancy abortions?
You see, initially, to abort a pregnancy is haram by itself. But say, you're not allowed to kill a future human being in the womb of his mother or her mother. This piece of, let's say, cloth is respected in Islam and has value. So, for example, in the fiqh of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, we see that if somebody aborts or kills a fetus, which is a pre-embryo, for example, then the penalty would be to pay 20 shar'i mithqal of gold.
Okay.
Which is almost 72 grams of gold.
72 grams of gold.
Exactly. And if it's a clot, then the penalty is to pay 40 mithqal, which is 144 grams.
Wow.
So these are all prices are provided as a penalty for those who intentionally kill this fetus, this future human being, which must be protected and respected.
Ahsan. Thank you very much, Shaykh. We're going to go to a short break, inshallah. Join us after the break as we continue our discussions on Islamic fiqh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. If you have a question you'd like to send in, now it doesn't matter what topic the question's on. No question is too silly or too taboo. We don't need to know where you're asking from. Just send in your question via the WhatsApp, the email address, or alternatively, give us a call here live in the studio, and inshallah we'll do our best to answer your questions. If we can't answer your questions, we do our research. If it's in regards to a certain marja, no problem, we will go and contact the official office of the marja or the official representatives, ask them the question, and we will get you your answer. This is our duty. And inshallah, let us continue with some of the questions that have been asked from our viewers with Sheikh Ali Ma'as. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, the next question I have is in regards to is it permissible for a judge who is, ruling in the case, to give the bribe to a judge who's ruling a case? Is that acceptable?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, it's forbidden to take a bribe for the ruling, to pass this ruling, even if the ruling is just. You're on the right side. You're not allowed to give money and bribe the judge to have your case win. We have a hadith from Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, in which Abu Basir, he narrates, he said, I heard Imam As-Sadiq saying, Man hakama fi dirhamain, whoever rules over 2 dirhams, for the purpose of 2 dirhams. Man hakama fi dirhamain bighayri ma anzal Allah. He ruled not according to Allah's ruling. بغير ما أنزل الله عز وجل فهو كافر بالله العظيم. He disbelieves in Allah عز وجل, the great. So he compares the disbelief with ruling not according to Allah عز وجل. And in the Quran we have Surah number 5, ayah 44, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Those who do not rule according to what Allah revealed are the unbelievers, the disbelievers. Hukum must be according to Allah Azza wa Jal, His rule.
Correct.
And that's what we see, sadly, in our Muslim countries, that how easy for some judges, they pass rulings by giving, let's say, hukum of executions because they're like political prisoners, for example, executing people and killing and giving long-term sentences. That doesn't belong to Islam. It's against the Quran and Islam and Hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So we have to go back to the true teachings of Islam and to judge and rule according to Allah Azza wa Jal.
Excellent, excellent. Well said, Shaykhna. Shaykhna, my next question is in regards to Salah. I know we discussed a little bit on the Imam and Jama'ah and also on Qasr prayers. When it comes to a congregational prayer, can one actually perform his qadha prayers in congregation?
Yes, of course. If, let's say, the Imam is praying Salat al-Dhuhr, you can stand behind him and pray Salat al-Dhuhr qadha. So the Imam is praying the Salat al-Dhuhr of that day, ada. You can pray behind him with the intention of qadha. And even you can pray other prayers behind the Imam, not necessarily just the same Dhuhr. You can pray, let's say, Isha, qadha, and he's praying Salat al-Dhuhr, for example, or Asr. So as qadha, there's no issue with it. So yes, you can pray Jama'ah with the intention of qadha.
Excellent. Shaykhna, another question in from the WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum. My question is in regards to wudu. I am a muqallid of His Eminence Ayatollah Sayyid Sa'id Hakim, I believe it is. Sayyid Hakim. I'm a follower of Sayyid Hakim. My question is in regards to wudu. When doing the masa on the feet, do all the toes need to be wiped or just the small ones? Jazakallah khair.
The Sayyid mentions that it suffices if somebody wipes even only one toe of his feet. So that one wiping would be sufficient, and the wudu inshallah would be sahih and correct.
Shaykhna, a question in from the email. In Jama'ah prayers, if there's only one male or one female standing behind the Imam, how should they stand? I guess it's to do with positioning rather than should they stand straight or one should be further back or so forth or anything like that.
With regard to the male, it's mustahab to stand on the right side of the Imam.
Okay.
And likewise for the females, they can also stand on the right side, but when they do the sujood, prostration, to be in line with the knee of the Imam when he is in sujood as well. So a bit back from the position of the males.
Excellent. I've also seen it in pictures as well. Sometimes when they go to the sujood, it's like they're on the elbow of the Imam, so very, very close. Inshallah, maybe another occasion we can discuss that and how where to actually stand properly and where to get more thawab from the salah. Shaykhna, according to Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani Hafadullah, the Grand Marja, what is his opinion in regards to buying carvings and statues of animals and such alike?
His Eminence mentions that there's no objection. The one can buy and sell these statues, but making them or carving them as obligatory precaution or the ihtiyat wujubi is not permissible. So the one to engrave or make them or carve them is not allowed. But to sell them after they've been produced and made, then there should be no issue. Or buying them or
there's no problem in
yeah.
Excellent. Shaykhna, I mean, I've got little nephews and nieces as well. I'm sure you've got loads of young children in your family, and they like to talk a lot as well. In regards to Islamic law and fiqh, if a young person, let's say he's under the age of bulugh, let's say he's 7 years old, 6 years old, and they tell us that this object is najis, Islamically speaking, do we take their word for it or not? Now, I believe His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah, Sheikh Wahid Khorasani, I think he has an opinion on this. What's his opinion on this matter?
He wouldn't accept the child's word except with the 3 conditions. He said that number 1, if the child is in discerning age, the age in which he can distinguish between the good and the bad, let's say 6, 7, 8, roughly that age. And number 2, this child can be trusted, so he's not lying, he's not saying something just out of his mind. He is serious about it, he knows what happened exactly. And thirdly, close to certainty. close to, the haqiqah, the certainty of this situation, that this table or this carpet became najis or tahir. So yes, in this case we can accept the word of the child, otherwise we can't accept.
I see. Shaykhna, when it comes to Jama'ah prayers, and sometimes the Imam, he makes a mistake with recitation. Maybe he says a word wrong, or maybe he gets on the harakah incorrect or so forth. What is our duty, what's our obligation in that situation?
The ma'mum, the one who is following the Imam, should recite it correctly. Or if you can warn the Imam that to correct the word, then that could be also an option.
Shaykhna, what is, because we were mentioning children, what is the ruling in regards to bringing children towards the mosque and taking them?
You see, we have to encourage our children and youth to come to the mosques. These, especially in the West, where there's no shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, no haram to go there. We have to encourage them, but if they come, we have to provide for them and facilitate places for them where they can understand. Because if they sit and an old lecturer, old man in his 60s, and he gives lectures in his own language, because the child is born or raised in a country away from his homeland. So we have to provide that means of understanding the children's cycle. So provide, let's say, a special room for the children based on their ages, lectures in their own language, for example, a bit of games, play, and so forth, to attract them to come next time to these centers and mosques. Otherwise, the place of the prayer should be respected, the place of the majlis or the venue which has been provided for the majalis should be respected and quiet, and by the organizers they have to mention this and consider this. But we also have to facilitate and provide a suitable place for our children as well.
Ahsant. Shaykhna, got a question coming in from the email. Assalamu alaikum, I am living in India and I have a lot of doubts about things I am using and eating. What is my duty about such things? I'm a muqallid of His Eminence Sayyid Sistani. So we have a muqallid here of Sayyid Sistani who lives in India, and as you and most of the viewers will know, India has a very, very big Hindu population, and it is the ruling, say, religion and what their law is based upon. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Shaykhna, but Hindus, we consider them to be najis if they touch things with wet hands. So this person lives in a Hindu country where majority of the people are Hindu, and what is his duty in regards to buying, selling, eating, and so forth? I mean, can he actually accept things to be tahir or not? According to His Eminence Sayyid Sistani, Hafadullah.
Well, the Sayyid mentions that there's a well-known law in the Islamic fiqh which states everything is ritually pure for you unless you come to know that it is ritually impure.
أحسنت.
كل شيء لك الطاهر حتى تعلم أنه نجس بعينه. You're certain that this is najis. So when you go and you buy, let's say, fried food or ready meals from the supermarkets in India, and you haven't seen with your eyes that they've touched those pieces of food, then it's halal. So you have to go with the rule that everything is halal or everything is tahir unless you're certain it's haram or it's najis. Otherwise, if you're certain, then of course you have to avoid. When you see that individual is touching not even the food, the clothes, the plates, utensils and so forth with wet hand, of course you have to avoid it or wash it for the next use.
Shaykhna, we discussed last week, or on Monday, we discussed about hijab and wearing the black. And the questions come here in regards to hijab and colourful hijab. That is this hijab acceptable under Sharia law? I know Ayatollah Shaykh Isaac al-Fiyad Hafadullah, he has an opinion on this. So what's his opinion in regards? Because let's be honest, there's a lot of sisters out there who, want to express themselves with different colors and so forth, whether it's jackets, scarves, shoes, whatever, including gentlemen as well. They want to express themselves. But then there is a strict hijab policy that we have in Islam of modesty, not bringing attention to yourself. What does Shaykh Ishaq al-Fiyad, what does he say in regards to colorful hijab?
Well, if it's attracting with lust, eye-catching, these colorful hijab, then of course it is not permissible. And as I've said previously, that the best option is to have the black hijab, which reduces this attraction from the opposite gender. So we stick with what is more and most modest and provides the chastity and dignity for the woman.
Shaykhna, final question. I must say it's probably one of the best questions we've ever got on Ahkam SOS. An email here, Assalamu alaikum. How can we say our obligatory prayers in an aircraft, especially if we do not know the direction of the Qibla, taking into consideration the instability of the floor because the plane is in motion?
Well, initially, the one can ask the pilot or the cabin crew you're traveling with the position of the Mecca and Kaaba, and they can guide you. Of course, you have to make sure that when you start to pray, it's stable, it doesn't shivers or shakes.
No turbulence.
You're towards the Qibla and so forth, all the conditions. But if all these conditions are not met, then you have to pray, because you can't, you're not allowed to delay your salah after it becomes qada.
Yes.
After it's becomes sunrise, sunset, on arrival, you have to make sure you pray in the plane with whatever is the condition.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Shaykh. Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. Inshallah, myself and the Shaykh will be back on Monday night at 6:30 here on Imam Hussein TV 3. If you have any questions you'd like to send them in via the WhatsApp email address, or alternatively give us a call on Monday night, 0203 515 0199. And inshallah, we'll be more than happy to discuss and answer your questions. Until then, please be safe, take care of yourselves, remember us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.